What does this mean?
Well, for Apple, this really doesn't mean anything. I don't believe they expected to be getting a tariff relief on the Mac Pro. You can see the price on this thing is $6,000 for the base model, so it's already extremely expensive. I found it really odd that Apple would so publicly request a tariff waiver on a computer. I understand if it was always made in China, but up until this model for the past, 6-7 years, this line, the Mac Pro, has actually been produced in Texas. So basically, they're trying to move it from the US to China while retaining the benefits of manufacturing in the US. So one could see why that would be a controversial topic for this particular US administration.
I found it surprising as well that they would do this so publicly, especially after moving production to China from the US. Was this just sort of a last-ditch effort?
I guess. I mean, it's their responsibility to do what's best for their bottom line and their margins. So, we could be sitting up here criticizing Apple for not doing that. So, right, they're doing what they have to do. It's just an odd circumstance, an odd series of events, given this was a US-made computer.
Josh, talk to us about the implications of this for, all US companies that might be hoping for some sort of exception.
Sure. Well, I think the takeaway here is that the administration has said, this is an apolitical process to try and get some kind of relief from the $250 billion worth of goods that are being tariffed from China. This is a clear signal that that's not necessarily the case. They're supposed to give 14 days of consideration for comments after a request is made for relief. Apple's request was made last week, and the president came out today and just said no. So, the administration has a pretty dim view of companies that are moving their operations overseas or that have their manufacturing abroad. Look at Harley-Davidson, look at Apple. They're all getting pretty negative treatment from the administration. So I would think, the sign is that others looking for similar relief better have a pretty good argument, or at least not be in the situation of Apple, where they've recently moved operations from a state like Texas to China.
Still, Apple CEO Tim Cook has made great efforts to maintain contact and engagement with this administration, as we heard Larry Kudlow talking about there. Michael, what's your take on this?
Well, there are two broader issues here. The first one is that it can really harm Apple's ability to be competitive. There are certain processes, there's certain technologies, and at a cost structure basis, a lot of things are going to be easier to manufacture in China, also in terms of skills. The other issue is and why this policy may be misguided, or likely is misguided, is because it will end up causing some sort of China techno-nationalism, where Chinese companies are going to start really penalizing their population, their citizens, for buying American goods or goods that are manufactured outside of that country. We really don't want to be in that position. The technology world, it's one giant ecosystem more broadly, and these policies are going to end up hurting, ultimately, it's going to end up hurting the big American technology companies, and it may add a lot of cost for consumers.
Now, last quick question to you, Mark. Some Apple products have been spared thus far. Does this mean the Mac Pro gets a lot more expensive in the fall, and could other Apple products get more expensive as well?
Yeah, on the Mac Pro, I mean, they already announced the $6,000 starting price point beforehand, so this is already incredibly expensive. I don't see them changing that baseline price based on this. It's possible that some of the higher end upgraded versions, this is probably going to range between $6,000 and maxed out $30,000, $35,000, $40,000. You might see some of those upgrade prices being higher, but Apple's done a lot of price adjustments over the past couple of years. The iPad Pro got a $150 price increase at the end of last year. We all know the iPhones go well north of $1,000 now, so I don't see more fluctuation on the consumer side coming to Apple products anytime soon.